To be looking at dependent and independent events. We're going to look at what are the definitions, what are the characteristics that will help us to classify whether an event is independent or dependent. Compound events, or events involving two or more simple events, can involve one action being repeated, such as tossing a coin twice, or different actions such as rolling a die and then spinning a spinner. So we'll be looking at those kinds of events put together. And then from that, we're going to see, are they independent or dependent? In independent events, the occurrence of one event does not affect the probability of this second event. So for example, if a coin is tossed twice, the probability of heads on the second toss is 50%, regardless of the outcome on the first toss. Dependent events. The occurrence of the first event changes the sample space for any event that follows. So for example, if two cards are drawn without replacement from a standard deck of playing cards, then the first draw has a sample space of 52 cards. The second draw has a sample space of 51 cards. Also, the elements of the sample space for the second draw depend on what was drawn for the first card. And we'll see as we go along what that means. First example, explain whether two events are dependent or independent in each of the following experiments. So things that we're looking for. If it's dependent, it'll be without replacement. So a card will not be replaced when the second card is drawn. For independent, it'll be with replacement, or it will be in two events that are obviously separate. Okay, one marble is drawn from a bag, and a second marble is immediately drawn from the same bag. So here we're talking about one container with marbles, and we are drawing two marbles. The first marble just gets left out, and then the second one is drawn. So this to me says it's without replacement. So here our first marble is not replaced. First marble is not replaced. So we can conclude that this is a dependent event. So these events are dependent. One marble is drawn from a bag and then replaced before the second marble is drawn. Key word here is replaced. So since the marble was replaced, it's now independent. Since marble was replaced, it is independent. Two bags contain identical sets of marbles. The first marble is drawn from one bag, and the second marble is drawn from the other bag. So here we are talking about two separate bags where the drawing is going to occur from. So there's no dependence at all, so we will conclude that it's independent. Two separate bags, therefore the events will be independent. Okay, two bags contain different sets of marbles. The first marble is drawn from one bag, and the second marble is drawn from the other bag. So here, in this example, we had identical sets of marbles. Here we have different sets of marbles. And in order to classify if it's independent or dependent, that fact does not matter. It's all about two separate containers. So again, two separate containers, two separate bags. So therefore the event is independent. Here's a your turn. We'll go through these again. This is a chance if you want to pause, go through and see if you can classify as independent or dependent, and then come check the answers. Event A is drawing a black card from a standard deck of cards. Event B is drawing another black card from the same deck if the first card is not replaced. Here, I'm going to classify this as dependent because the cards were not replaced, because the card is not replaced. Event A is rolling a 3 on a standard 6-sided die, and then Event B is spinning blue on a spinner with four sections. So here, these are two separate sources. We have a die, we have a spinner. So this is independent. Independent because we have events from two different sources. So events are from separate sources. C. Event A is rolling a 3 on the first roll of a standard 6-sided die, and Event B is rolling a 3 on the second roll of the same die. So rolling a die twice is independent because it's separate rolls. So we can conclude that this one is independent because the events are from separate rolls. Next, Event A is selecting a girl at random from the class, and Event B is selecting a boy at random from the remaining students in the class. Because these are two separate sources, boy group, girl group, we're going to classify it as independent. Because of the separate sources. This word here, remaining students, implies without replacement. But because we're going to look at girl group, boy group, those are going to be separated anyways. If it would have been read as Event A is selecting a student at random from the class, and Event B is selecting another student at random from the class, then it would be dependent. And we'd have to specify a little bit more. Maybe we would specify selecting two boys. Okay, so this would be a good chance for you to take a look at the assignment that has the classifying part, where you're going to classify if the events are independent or dependent. And then after you do that, you can continue on watching the next video.